And welcome everyone. So we should be live now. Hi Trish. Hello again Tish. Hi Anne. Hello again Laurie. Hi Lethargy. Welcome. Right. Why can't I see the numbers yet? I'm gonna give it a second to see when I can see you. I hope it didn't start another stream. Okay, good. I can see the numbers now. Can you hear me properly? Can you all see? Well, you cannot see me yet. I'm showing you. Can you all see me and hear me properly? Are we all good? HR, what do you mean? Harry Potter ad? Hi, Caroline. And hello again, Mike. Thank you. Good. Perfect. Good. So we've got about, let me check, 11 minutes before to start. And welcome, Bonnie. Hello again, Michelle. So apologies, everyone. I hear that I put, well, I suppose it's me. I think I put the wrong timing in the calendar. So we are indeed starting at past, not on the hour. Oh, you put me up on the big screen, Caroline? Cool. Oh, recruitment. Harry Potter was cool as well. And welcome, Michaela. Nice to have you here. Hi, Julie. Welcome. And Pauline is here. Welcome, Pauline. So we've got 11 minutes. So if any of you are watching this on replay in the next few days, and if you wanted to skip the hellos, feel free to skip the next 11 minutes. So go straight to the point. See, I'm wearing my green top. So happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. It might be a little bit busier than usual on the streets today. Although Pall Mall is not a street with a massive amount of pubs. Let me show you where I am. I'm not on it yet. I'm on the mall. And Pisas is here. Welcome, Pisas. So we've got about 10 minutes before to start. Let us know in the chat where you're tuning from. So we are heading to, is it gonna focus? Focus. We're heading to, I can actually focus with Prism, but I need one hand. Hold on, let me do like this. Yeah. So we're heading to Pall Mall tonight. But we're not on Pall Mall quite yet. We are actually in front of Buckingham Palace. Like a family on here. Yeah, we've got most of the gang tonight. And welcome, Teresa. Let us know in the chat where you're tuning from. We still have plenty of time. So that's where we're heading. Oops. We're heading to Pall Mall. We have been there before on those Monopoly tours, but I was at the time of Hego, and that was in an afternoon when the king was around, and the signal was dropping. So late at night, it should be perfect. Sheffield, welcome, William. Everything looks very noir, says Tish. Well, I'm gonna tell you some noir stories. Yeah, it's not very lit up around here at night. Even on a bicycle, the cycle lane on the mall is a bit under the trees, but there's no light, so I actually have to go on the main road because otherwise you don't see anything.
This way. Don't hit me.
Who brought snacks? Well, I didn't. But
I'm still live. Hi everyone. Can I say hi to the viewers?
Sure.
Hi! How you doing? 29
Hi,
people.
guys.
Hi guys. We're at Buckingham Palace today. Wish us luck. We're gonna go rob the king.
He's not around today. I find that people that want to be on camera, if you let them be on camera, they very quickly run out of things to say. So yeah. Those roundabouts get pretty crazy. This one is actually pretty quiet. Let me show you. This is all part of the Crown Estate. So on the Mall you have traffic, but you don't have any buses or any heavy vehicle allowed. Sorry. So we've got, let me check, 7 minutes. So I don't know if you guys have noticed yet, but I've done a bit of scheduling. So next week we're doing Jack the Ripper again. And a few days after that, we're going back to Abney Park. So we're going to Stoke Newington. Some of you might remember I've been there with you before, at the time of Hego and Bims actually, but didn't get a chance to go for the last over 2 years now because they had closed most of the cemetery for major refurbishment, and it's finally reopened. I actually think it was better before, but yeah, they finally reopened everything. So I'm taking you back there on the 26th, I think, 26th. Hi, Laurie. Let's see what I've missed. Yeah, Jack the Ripper. So yeah, we've got those two, and then the week after that, I'm taking you to Surrey, to Godalming. So we should have some dark tales as well there. And Linda is here. Welcome, Linda. You got an Italian takeout. Cool. Oh, you knew, Laurie? Well, nice to have you on board. Hopefully I'll get you hooked. I do quite a few of those lives. And they often talk about dark history. So although tonight it's a Monopoly one, we'll be looking at property prices. You'll also hear about a couple of murders. And we've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes before 2 officially get started. You'd like an Italian as well, Tish.
Alright, take care. Have fun in your
Yeah,
life.
you too. Have a good one. And welcome, Annalie. Nice to have you along. So we've got 4 minutes. You can see Natasha's post. It's like Tish's. What did Natasha say? Sometimes, if there's a term that YouTube find triggering for any reason, you might have a line that disappears. You should come around to London. We can have a night out. Three minutes. Let me show you the view again. You get bored of my face. I'm gonna gracefully stand up as well. You can see a bit of the London Eye in the distance there. See there's a wheel, a pink wheel in the back behind the trees. That's the London Eye. And Tariq is here. Welcome, Tariq. The London Eye, it's got 32 capsules. That is to celebrate the 32 boroughs, the 32 districts we have in London. And when you go up, you can go with maybe 15, 20 people in the same capsule. If you have money, you don't have to have 50 people with you. You can privatize. It's about £690 for 30 minutes. And if it's only two of you, especially if you look like a couple, they don't really let you go up alone. They'll send a member of staff with you. That is to avoid anyone doing anything to intimate on the London Eye. Sam, no filter. It's just because we're stepping back in time, I guess. But no filter. We do have a lot of filters on Prism, but I've not selected any. I've been sat here next to the Queen Victoria. Right, let's see what time it is. 1 minute. As an Irish person, you're not a big fan of England. Well, today it's your day. It's St. Patrick's Day, so you can do or say whatever you want. And let me check, it's probably time to start. 1 minute still. Oh yeah, the Marriott looks at the eye, so you don't want the kid. Well, even from one capsule to the next, you've got a very clear view on what's happening in the next capsule, so yeah. All right, and it is officially time to start. So welcome guys, welcome everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Natalie, and I basically take you to interesting places, or boring places sometimes, but I tell you some interesting stories. And tonight it's a Monopoly tour, so I've thrown the dice on the board at home, and we ended up on Pall Mall. So that's where we're heading to. We'll go and take a quick look at the property prices on Pall Mall. But I wanted to start here. We're right in front of Buckingham Palace, because it is because of Buckingham Palace that, of course, Pall Mall is so expensive, because everyone wants to live right next to the monarch, right? So let's flip this camera. Let's get started. So I'm on the Victoria Monument here. So this is Queen Victoria up there. Queen Victoria, she really is the monarch that made Buckingham Palace what it is today. She's the one that made it the official residence. Before that, the official residence used to be St. James's. We'll go and take a look at St. James's later. And she also had all of this built. What the facade we see today, it's actually newer. The original building, Buckingham House, is still at the back. And Queen Victoria, she actually had a little stalker when she lived here. When she was a young queen, there was a teenage boy known as Boy Jack. He kept sneaking into the palace. He came in and out several times. He got caught several times, but the queen didn't want to make a fuss out of it. So they would send him to prison, but not for long enough. Then he'd come back and he'd go straight back into the palace. Once he even spent a day and a half inside of Buckingham Palace. And they knew it was true when they caught him, because he worked with chimney cleaning or something. So he was always dirty, and they found some black marks of his dirty fingers all across the palace. One day he got caught, and there was something wrong with his trousers. Around his crotch area, it looked a bit bulky, So they were like, okay, you strip down. And he had hidden in his pants a lot of Queen Victoria's underwear, would you believe? eventually she had enough and she sent him to Australia, so he wouldn't come back. Hi Ronnie, and welcome everyone that I've missed. Welcome to Buckingham Palace. Let me cross over here. This is not something I should do, but let's do it. So anyway, you probably know quite a lot about Buckingham Palace and this area. So tonight I'll try to tell you a few stories you don't know. Because we've been here before, we've been here on my Royal Dark Tales. So I'll try to tell you stuff I've not told you before. And one thing I didn't tell you before is that we had a murder here on the other side of the park. You might know the royal palaces. They are of course guarded by those very iconic guards. They are now called the King's Guard, of course. They used to be the Queen's Guard. That's why I'm here quite often. I'll be here again in 12 hours for the changing of the guards. So this feels like my office, really. But in 1848, one of those guards was shot dead. He was not placed here in front of the palace. He was on the other side, in front of the barracks, the military barracks, and he had been shot by a lady. At that time, well, still today, you know, there's a lot of ladies that like a man in a uniform, you know, especially one of those iconic red on bearskin hat uniforms, and Henry Ducker, his name was. He was one of them. He was part of the Coldstream Guard. He apparently used to take a few gifts to go out with ladies that liked uniforms. And one of them was called Annette Meyer. She was a housemaid and she had no work, so she used to give him a lot of gifts, but she kind of ran out of money to pay him, and apparently on top of that he had borrowed some money from her, saying that he would marry her. And one day she was really jealous because she believed, we don't know if that's true or not, but she believed that he was starting to give much more attention to another lady that had much more money than her, and she was so jealous that she went to a shop to buy a gun on Regent Street. So she went to buy a pistol, and the guy at the shop, he was like, "Why do you need a pistol for?" And she's like, "Oh, I need to shoot a dog that's being very annoying." And the shopkeeper actually offered to come himself and kill the brute, so she wouldn't have to buy a gun. And she said, "No, I live so far away. Don't bother yourself. I live all the way in Hackney. No, I need to buy the gun." So she bought the gun. She came here, and she literally just shoot into the Coldstream Guard, her former lover. And she didn't resist much when she got arrested. She confessed straight away, and would you believe she was not executed at the time? Murdered. I mean, you'd be hanged, but because the jury found her story quite touching, really, she was spared. She ended up being jailed, but not executed. And we have another story here in the park. So across the street there, that is St. James's Park. So it's just at the other side of the park that the soldier was shot dead. We have another potentially an alleged murder. Some people said that in the 1780s there was another Coldstream Guard that killed a lady, and he buried her head somewhere and he drowned her body in the pond here. There's absolutely no evidence of that, but what we do know is that there are a lot of accounts of a headless lady, a ghost. And over the centuries, you know, the first sighting really was in 1804. This is the entrance to Clarence House, by the way. That's where the king lives when he's in London. I don't suppose he's here today. He's rarely here on a weekend. He was here on Wednesday. I actually saw him on Wednesday. He gave us a wave and everything. That's not very unusual. I see him quite a lot on Wednesdays because he's got to go. Well, usually on a Wednesday he meets the Prime Minister, and he often goes out at the time of the changing of the guards. So we often get lucky. Actually, on Wednesday we saw the King. He waved. 12 minutes later I was back here and Camilla came out. So we had a double wave. So that's good. They come out and then I get great reviews. Anyway, so I was telling you about the ghost. So yeah, there's an account of two guards that were shocked to see a ghost in the courtyard of the barracks on the other side of the park. And they described it as a headless lady. And one of them apparently had to go... Linda, it's not that it's super dark, it's that there's not much lighting here. It should be a little bit brighter once we get to Pall Mall. It's... Well, it depends on the moon sometimes. So yeah, those guards, they saw a ghost. I mean, it's two of them at the same time, you know. So that's in 1804. And then many years later, in the 70s, you had a motorcycle driver that was driving on Birdcage Walk. So that's the little street on the other side of the park. It's known as Birdcage because St. James's Park used to be a menagerie. So that's where they had all the birds on the other side. Anyway, the driver drove straight into a pillar. And they were going to take him down for careless driving, so he had to see the magistrate. But he explained that he had seen a ghost. He had seen a headless lady. And they got out all the old newspaper from the 19th century about the headless lady. Would you believe he was acquitted? That worked. And there's actually an author that looked into the ghost of London that was able to find a newspaper clipping from 1804 that stated that two students had been playing with some kind of a magic lantern called Phantasmagoria that was used for the theaters, and they had been scaring people on Birdcage Walk just a few days before the sighting from the soldiers. So the magic lantern machine might have explained the case for the two soldiers that saw the ghost. But the case from the 70s, there's no explanation, so there might be a ghost, who knows? What the hell was the woman doing sat on the lamppost? Oh no, Trish, so there was no woman. He explained that he was trying to avoid a woman, but there was no woman, so it was basically a ghost sighting. So he spotted a headless woman crossing the street, so he went straight into a lamppost. There was no woman. Yeah, so probably didn't explain that right. Anyway, we are now by St. James's Palace. So this beautiful building, this is St. James's. It's as important as Buckingham Palace, really. This was the main place of court until Buckingham Palace, until the court moved to Buckingham House at the bottom of the street. And we do not have any senior royals living in this part of the building full time, but I'm guessing Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, is probably here tonight because she sleeps here when she has to work in London. And she's busy in London with charities tomorrow and Tuesday, so she's probably here tonight. We used to have the princesses as well, Beatrice and Eugenie. They lived here until 2017, but they had to pay rent because Beatrice and Eugenie, they're not what we call working royals. You might know the king has always been a big advocate of a slimmed down monarchy. So he's probably regretting it at the moment because some of them are not able to work. But yeah, with the princesses, they had to pay not much. To give you an idea, Linda, no guards. Well, the guards are inside, but they're not standing outside in the night anyway. And even if it was daytime, the guards would only be on the other side at Clarence House when the king is away. If the king was in residence and it was daytime, yes, you would have guards on this side as well. They are inside, don't worry, it's well protected, but they don't have to stand at the front like they do at daytime. So yeah, the princesses were paying $1,600 a month, and in 2017 actually it was all over the tabloids. Andrew decided to stop paying. So it was all over the tabloids that the princesses were homelesses in London. I think they're fine. Anyway, this is Pall Mall here, so we'll come back here in a moment. But for now, let's take a quick look at St. James's Street, because I have a few properties for you, and also a ghost story. So this is the front of St. James's. The chapel is on this side as well. It's in the chapel here that Diana's body was kept after the accident for a few days. It's also, sorry, it's a bit noisy, I'm gonna wait. It's also in the chapel here that Meghan Markle was secretly baptized, christened into the Church of England. You love the ghost story? How would they have money to pay? So I'm guessing you're talking about Beatrice and Eugenie. Beatrice and Eugenie, they have their own jobs. Eugenie, she works in art. And Beatrice, I'm not sure what she does, probably business. But yeah, they have their own income. And Mike was asking earlier, where is Kate? Oh God, I'd like to know. But, you know, although there have been speculations all over the internet, it's not new, the royal speculations. It's always been the case. Even here at St. James's Palace, when James II had the baby, so they didn't want the baby to be a Catholic because, so anyway, basically people kind of wished this baby dead, right? And there was a massive conspiracy that, that they had brought a secret baby, another baby, to cover up for a dead baby. And so we always had those crazy conspiracies all over the royals. But yeah, I'm afraid I don't know where Kate is. Well, I know where she is officially. She's recovering at Windsor, but who knows? Anyway, I've got a little property here for you. I think it's on the 3rd floor of this one here. Let me show you and I'll tell you how many rooms. Right, so this one is gonna be to buy. I'll show you the photos. Right, and hold on, I've got. So it is one bedroom to. Let me check that I'm not saying, yeah, one bedroom to buy. How much would you spend to buy a one bedroom here, really close to the royal palaces? So one bedroom to buy, how much would you spend? How much do you think it cost? It is in the corner up there on the 3rd floor. So we're looking for a price to buy for a one bedroom. $1.2 million, 1 million, 3.5 says Tariq. 450 million says Trish. 1 million, 1.2 says Michelle. 2 million. Michelle, I think you're very close. Mike says 4.5. Let me show you the entrance. I think, Michelle, you were the closest. Let me double check. There you go. 1.22 millions. So for a one bedroom, it is a lot, but in this area, it's it's nothing in this area. Right, let me get rid of this one. Sorry, just trying to delete them. There we go. Super. And we've got a couple more properties on this side. If I take a left here, we'll end up at. Well, if I kept going, actually, I'll show you. There's. We'll end up at Spencer's house, where Charles Spencer, Diana's brother. Well, he doesn't live in there, but he owns the property. He's been in the news a lot lately. I don't know if you've seen his published biography, where he's been telling everyone that about the abuse he suffered as a child in private school. Oh, and look who used to live here, Chopin. I didn't know until I prepared this tour. But anyway, we have a flat in this building here. Let me tell you, it is a 2-bedroom to rent. So we're looking for a monthly rent for a 2-bedroom here in this little house. I'll show you the photos. There we go. So we're looking for a monthly rent for a 2-bedroom. How much would you pay for a 2-bedroom here? I'll start walking. So monthly rent. Oh, you got an ad. So we're looking for a monthly rent for a 2-bedroom. Caroline, you're very close. So Caroline says 2.5, Tariq says 2K, David says 5K. Mitzi, you're very close as well. You guys are good at this, because honestly, in this area, it could be anything. No, Natasha, I don't actually know when you have an ad, and I don't even know for sure whether you really always have them at the same time. So it's not very convenient for me because, well, luckily at the moment I was not in the middle of a big story, but I could be. Straight ahead, that's where a young Winston Churchill used to live when he was a young man. 2.4 says HocoTube. Well done. You're very close, Michelle. You're very close as well. If I remember right, you're almost spot on. Let me show you the answer. There we go. So 2,600 a month. Oh, sorry. Did I tell you 2-bedroom? I think I've messed up. It's a 1-bedroom. Sorry. Did I say 2? I think I might have said 2. So yeah, 1-bedroom. Sorry. Right, let me. So this is Spencer House here. So that's the one that belongs to Diana's brother. And down to the bottom here, we're not gonna go because it's very dark. We'll go back towards Pall Mall, but number 19, right here at the bottom, that's where we have a very interesting ghost story. It's 1864, if I remember right. You had 2 spinsters. I don't like this term. Two ladies that were unmarried, 2 sisters, Anne and Harriet Parsons. They lived here, and Anne died in the 1850s, so a few years earlier. So Harriet found herself alone without her sister. And one day Harriet goes down to Brighton for a few days, and she got unwell. She got very unwell, and eventually she had to have her little niece, 3 of her nieces coming to check on her. So they literally moved in to to nurse their aunt. Yeah, I think we're still talking about the ads. So yeah, guys, just so you know, the ads, it's not my choice. YouTube has completely changed. That was beginning of November. It is no longer an option. So I've set it up to the minimum I'm allowed to set it up, but I can't do any lower. Obviously, I could choose not to have the video monetized at all, but that would not stop the ads. It's only that YouTube would keep the money for themselves. So it represents nothing for me. It's only a few cents. So I know it's very annoying, and it's annoying for me too, because if I'm in the middle of a story. But just so you know, it's not something I can do anything about, I'm afraid, as long as I want to use the YouTube platform, of course. Anyway, back to our story. So she's got her nieces, 3 of them, that come and live with her. And one night, so 2 of the nieces were in bed in a different room, about 1 a.m. when the 2 of them woke up because they saw Anne, so the dead aunt, Anne, walking past the door. So the 2 of them, so they literally had the very same sighting, and they knew very... I don't know why we have all those crazy motorcycles tonight. They knew very well that Anne was dead. And the 3rd niece, she also saw Anne, the ghost of Anne, her aunt, walking past. So then they run to Harriet's bedroom. So Harriet, the 6th sister, she... why do they all go so fast tonight? And Harriet was still in her bed, and she said to them, "Oh, I've just seen Anne. She's coming to get me." A few hours later, Harriet was dead as well. Now, for a person about to die to see their dead relatives, that happens a lot. There are a lot of people working in palliative care. They state that it happens a lot somehow. People that are about to pass away, we don't know how to explain it yet, of course, with science, but apparently it happens. But in this occasion, it's not only the lady dying that saw her sister, it's the 3 nieces. It's actually quite rare to have 4 people sighting the same ghost at the very same time. So interesting, really. Anyway, do we have anyone from Texas in the house? Let us know in the chat if you are from Texas. Some of you might be like, why? What is she gonna tell us about Texas over here? Let us know. Look at these beautiful shops. There are a lot of very old shops over here. Nobody from Texas? When was this? The ghost story? 1864, Laurie. Well, you might remember the Victorians newspaper were full of ghost story. Somehow at the time they trusted those stories much more than we do today. They had some kind of a stronger belief in the paranormal than we do. But not to blame them, they had just invented the telephone. You could pick up the phone and talk to someone in Newcastle. Why not talking to the dead? Anyway, so this is one of the oldest wine shops, really, in London. Very old shop. Back in the 18th century, you'd come with your bottle because the bottle was more expensive than the wine. And about Texas, let me turn the flash on. I should be able to show you. It's very dark, but see. So we've got a little plaque for Texas over here. It is because, would you believe, this used to be the site of the Texas Embassy. You might know the state of Texas was a republic for a few years, and they were located here. And apparently when they left a big bill at the wine shop that they never paid for. So that was in the mid 19th century, I think it's 160 pounds, but in today's money that'll be quite a lot. And would you believe the state of Texas actually paid it, but I think it was in the 90s or something. We're talking 150 years later. But now Texas has paid for their debts at the wine shop. The wine shop also had a big loss in 1912. There was a box of wine on the Titanic. They have, I think they still have inside the little order that was lost, the little paper in a frame. Anyway, we are now on Pall Mall. So Pall Mall, it is known as Pall Mall. It's named after an old game that was known as the Pall Mall in Italy. It's almost like the ancestor of golf, between golf and croquet. It used to be played on long straight avenues, little alleys, and they played it a lot in the continent. It was already very popular in France and Scotland, and there was a little alley to play the Pall Mall straight up there. And when Charles II came back from France, after his exile, after the time of the Commonwealth, he brought back the fashion of the game with him, so they created another Pall Mall Avenue that is today the Mall. So that's how they got the name. And the cigarettes, by the way, the Pall Mall cigarettes, they are named after the street, not the other way around. When the brand was created, because they targeted a lot of those gentlemen that would frequent the gentleman clubs over here, they named it Pall Mall. And let me cross. The street itself was designed in the 1660s. Let me go. There we go. Most of all the south, so the part to my right, it all belongs to the Crown Estate. So really, if you buy a property here, you have a lease. You might buy it for 90 years, but the ground is never really going to belong to you because it belongs to the Crown. Apart from one house, this is where Nell Gwyn used to live. I'll show you the property in a moment. So for the ones that don't know, Nell Gwyn was a favorite mistress of Charles II. Charles II had many mistresses. He had 14, maybe up to 18 illegitimate children. And, you've got to go to bed, Mitzi. Bye, I'll see you later. And the mistresses of the king, it was probably not an easy job. It's not a job, we were talking about speculations earlier, social media today is mad. It's crazy with speculation about the royals and horrible stuff. I mean, you might have seen in the last few weeks, horrible stuff have been posted about Kate Middleton. But that's not actually new. At the time of the 17th century, they used to write pamphlets. And some of them were really harsh as well. To give you an example, I've written down a little piece of one pamphlet I found that was so harsh. It's not about Nell, it's about Barbara. She's another mistress of the king, Barbara Palmer. It says, she was so much of a nymphomaniac while still in her mother's womb, so exquisite of a whore that in her mother's belly, her beep C word, she placed so right before, so her father beep F word, then both together. So Mike is asking, am I by? I'm not too far to High Park Corner. Yeah, not too far. So yeah, you can see how the pamphlet were horrible about some of the mistresses, and it's actually quite comparable to what you'd get on social media today, Anyway, so this is the spot. So Nell Gwyn was given the property here to be right next, of course, to St. James's Palace. The king used to spend his time. And she was very funny, Nell Gwyn. She was pretty witty Nell, but you'd have to be at the time because she was an actress, and And at the time, the theaters were wild. You know, people would heckle and they'll jump on stage. So you'd have to be quite witty to survive. It had been only just a few years that actresses were allowed on stage. Before that, it was only for men. So you'd go, you know, in Elizabethan time, you'd go to see Romeo and Juliet. Juliet was going to be played by a transvestite. And apparently Nell, when she was a young girl, she actually liked to dress up as a boy to play. So she was a bit of a drag king. And she was one of the favorites of the king's mistresses, mainly because she was from here, so she was a good Protestant. Because of course some of the king's mistresses were Catholic, like Louise de Cournoy, the one from France, from Brittany, a big rival of Nell. She had a few rivals. She had another rival called Moll Davis, that was an actress as well. And it is said that Nell actually gave her some laxative before she went to meet the king, just to destroy their night of pleasure. We don't know if that is true, of course, but that's a nice story. So yeah, Nell was she was shocked actually when she was given a home here. She wanted the ground, you know. She didn't want a lease, so the king agreed. So from an act of parliament, he gave her the very lease on that property. So now it's the only property still today on the south of Pall Mall that actually is a freehold. So it's been going to the family from generation to generation. And oops, hold on, I'm going too far. I've got two properties right here across the street. I'm getting overly excited about Nell when I forget my properties. Cool, so we've got two. Let me excuse my finger, but I'll show you. The first one is in this building here. So this building here, and it is, let me check. It is a 3-bedroom flat to buy. So we're looking at 3 bedrooms to buy. Let me show you the photos. There we go. So that's the inside here. How much would you pay for a 3-bedroom here? It looks haunted. It probably is. Everything is probably haunted here. So we're looking for a price to buy. 2.5 million, says Trish. It's a bit more. Ooh, 3.8. It's a bit more, guys. Tariq, you're the closest so far. 4.8 says Mike. David says 3 million. 2.9 million says Ronnie. Yeah, it's a bit more. Let me show you the answer. Where are we? There we go. Only nearly 6 millions only. Not bad, huh? I'm gonna have to save a bit more for this one. And so we've got a rent in the next building, so that should be fairly easy because it's not too different from the one we've seen earlier. So there's a 1-bedroom to rent. Oh, Sam, you are quite close as well. Up there, see, just up there. So we're looking for a price for a 1-bedroom to rent. Let me show you the photos. So how much would you pay? We're looking for a monthly rent. Holy cow. Yeah. Yeah, Tariq did very well. Well, Pisas and Sab were not far either. So monthly rent for a 1-bedroom. $5,000 a month, says Trish. 3.2 says Hoko Tube. 3 says Michelle. 2.5 Tariq. You doing well. 1.8 says Caroline. David says 2000. You're actually quite close as well, David. Sam says 3025. Let me show you the answer. Pisa says 14,000, a bit less. I'll show you. 2,275. So I mean, it is a lot for a one-bedroom flat, but it's not, that mad. Right. There was another weird murder here in weird. Well, the murder itself was not so weird, but there used to be a pub here called the Star and Gather in the 18th century, and Lord Byron, not the Lord Byron, but his uncle, one night was drinking at the pub when he got a bit drunk and he started an argument with another guy. They were arguing about the number of game birds on their estate. And they'll argue, and the argument didn't stop. And eventually it got quieter, so people believed it was okay, that they had somehow got over it. Well, no. Lord Byron actually took the other gentleman into a different room, and he stabbed him with his axe. He killed him. He tried to put it down as self-defense, pretending that there was some kind of a duel, but apparently, so the House of Lords decided to take him down for manslaughter instead, and he used a very medieval, archaic system called the benefits of the clergy. So it's so ridiculous. If you can read a line of the Bible in Latin, well, then you are under the jurisdiction of the church, and that's okay. The normal court cannot do anything. So he was actually spared. That's very much one of the benefits of the aristocracy. Poor people couldn't do anything like that. But yeah, he got away with murder. Anyway, there's another murder for you here. This is one of those famous gentlemen's clubs. Pall Mall is full of them. This is the RAC, the Royal Automobiles Club, and it's quite big because they have basically a hotel. They've got 80 bedrooms, and in 1972 one of them was the site of a horrible murder. They had a young lady working for them known as Sarah Gibson, 21 years old, blue eyes, beautiful young girl. Sarah was a bit, maybe a bit lonely. She didn't seem to have that many friends, and even with her colleagues, she was quite mysterious. She didn't say much about her life and her love life, and so people didn't know if she had a boyfriend. She probably did not, but one day she was off. She actually went around, and in the evening she came back. Thank you, Natasha. And well, it looked like she watched television. She had a cup of coffee, half a cup actually, she didn't finish it, and she fell asleep in front of the TV. The TV would have kind of gone off on its own because, at the time the BBC would stop at midnight. And the next morning, she's not coming down for work. Did someone say laxative? Yeah, that was like a little while ago, Natasha. Yeah, Nell Gwyn gave laxative to her rival. Yeah, and Sarah is not coming down for work. That was very unusual. So they went up to her bedroom to wake her up. And her colleague found the door slightly open. The sign "Do Not Disturb" was on. He pushed the door. She was in bed. He first believed she was very sick because her skin was so pale. She was covered. She was under the cover, and then he realized that she was dead. Now, the police found the crime scene very confusing because it didn't look like it had been ransacked. It didn't really look like a burglary. It looked like she had been strangled, but well, she had also had sex. They could find some sperm, but they didn't know at the time if it was any consensual or not. She had a pillow placed under her lower back, and the ligature. So she had been attached, but the ligature were so soft that the pathologist couldn't even find the marks at the beginning. So they didn't know where to start. So they obviously looked into her life. They asked everyone if she had any boyfriend. At the time, they even considered maybe a sex game going wrong, and quite clearly they understood that no. I mean, if she did have a boyfriend, she never even brought it back to her workplace. So it was a staff room where she used to live above the club, in the staff corner. So it was not really mixed with the actual members and customers, and so they ended up with the conclusion that it was a murder. But why? Who would hate that poor little girl? Did she see something? Did she know something? It was just so, such an unusual crime scene, and it didn't look like the violence was that strong, because the coffee cup that was placed next to the bed on the floor was still there with half a cup of coffee. It was not split on the floor or anything. She had a photo frame next to the bed on the bedside table that was unbroken. And eventually the police received a phone call. It just said, the man you're after is at Center Point. So the police went to Center Point, the tower at the corner of Oxford Street. Nothing out of the ordinary. And then a few days later, they received a letter that was signed David Frooms. He claimed that he did it, and actually they had some fingerprints on the letter, and they matched the fingerprints that they found all over the flat. He had also left a jumper inside, but at the time, we didn't have any DNA or anything of the sort, so the jumper would literally just give his size and the shape of his body. So the police now had a letter from the killer and an ID, or at least that's how he signed it, but no traces of him. Anyway, let's stop here, because I have a flat for you here. Let me show you, excuse my finger, this one here. And it is, let me tell you how many bedrooms. It is to buy, let me double check so I don't say anything wrong. 1 bedroom to buy. Let me show you the photos. Where are we? Should be this one here. Yes. So how much would you, sorry, my touchscreen is not working well. How much would you pay for this flat here? So 1 bedroom to buy right here at the corner of Pall Mall. Tish, we'll get back to the murder in a second. Well, we still don't know why, to be honest, but I'll tell you in a moment. So we're looking for a price for a what did I say, 1 bedroom? 1 bedroom to buy. $500,000, says Cynthia. It's a bit more. Sam says 2 million. 1.5, Cynthia. Yeah, that's closer to it. Yeah. 1.8, says Ronnie. Oh no, don't rate it. No, not finished. We'll get back to it. So I'll show you. Ta-da! 1.2, so it's not too bad for the area, not too bad, but you never know, it's a leasehold, so it could be that there are not that many years left on the lease. You never know, because most of the time they don't tell you how long is the leasehold. Anyway, let's keep going, so I'll tell you more about about our murderer. So the police has a letter. They know now his identity, and they know he's homeless. So it's like looking for a needle in a haystack, because you have obviously a lot of homelesses in London. And they searched his background as much as they could, but they didn't know where he slept. When they got another phone call, the menu after is at Center Point, and they realized their mistake. They said Center Point, not the tower, but Center Point. It's actually a homeless charity in Soho. So they got there. David was there. They introduced themselves. They asked his name. He said he was David. They introduced themselves at the police, and he actually said to them, "Oh, I'm glad you caught me." And he did confess very quickly. I mean, he could have got away with murder, but no. He decided to write a letter. He decided to confess. He gave them a confession that was still today. There are still some very grey area. He said that he didn't know her. He was trying to sleep at St. James's in St. James's Park, just to my right down there, and the police came to kick people away. So he decided to go and look for food. He decided to go for a burglary. That's how he had survived for many years. He used to steal cars and burglar homes. And this is the Athenaeum, by the way, members club. And he walked on this way, and he walked behind the Athenaeum here actually. And when they ended up at the back of the Royal Automobile Club, he spotted an open window on the first level. So someone didn't do their job properly. They didn't close all the windows, which shouldn't be a problem. It was on the first floor. It was too high. Quick pause here. See these little steps? That's for the Duke of Wellington, so he could get out of his horse and go straight into the Athenaeum. So yeah, David came from the back. There was an open window. He was actually very lucky. There was a ladder, 10-foot ladder that was left behind the building as well. So that's how he got inside. Then his reason to go up into the bedrooms, it's not quite clear, because he said he was looking for food. I mean, it is a hotel as well as a members club. So if you're looking for food, you might want to go to the basement, to the kitchens or something. Why did he go up to the bedrooms, And he actually spotted, apparently, I wonder if there's an event today, because there's a lot of fast cars and fast motorcycles, very noisy ones. I don't know why they're all here. And he then sadly got to the staff bedrooms. Sarah's bedroom was slightly open. He said he wanted to go for a burglary, but according to what he says, she woke up, and then he pretends not to remember. I mean, it could be his traumatic memory, but he says he doesn't know anything after that, really. He vaguely remembers strangling her, but he doesn't remember raping her. I mean, it's still full of grey areas. Why did he do that? I mean, he had a terrible childhood. In his defense, quite terrible, so he probably suffered with his mental health and everything, but he never fully explained why. Because I mean, I didn't tell you, because there's a term you're not meant to say on YouTube. We start with a T, but that lasted 4 hours. Why did she not scream? Maybe she was too scared. Maybe he told her he would kill her if she screamed. Yeah, so it's quite horrible crime, and somehow he actually loosened her ligament, and he actually placed a pillow under her. So yeah, weird crime, really. But anyway, he got caught. There were lots of evidence against him, and even if he didn't confess to everything, there was far more evidence than needed. Anyway, one more murder before we go. At the corner of the street here, in I think it's 1780, no, sorry, 1680s, just after the street was designed, actually. We had a gentleman in a horse carriage coming right here in the corner when the horse carriage was attacked by 3 gentlemen with their axe. He nothing he could do. He was literally killed on the spot, and the 3 men were very quickly caught, and yeah, exactly. Many people have had horrible childhood and they've not become killers. So yeah, and he was actually so although he did have some mental health issues, he was actually sane enough to be judged. You know, sometimes when you really suffer from strong mental health issues, you can qualify as not responsible for your actions. He was responsible and he was guilty. Anyway, so yeah, in the corner of the street here, you've got this guy that just got killed by 3 people. His name was Thomas Stein, and it turned up that the 3 that killed him were not really. They're not the one that wanted the murder. They had just been paid to do it. The guy that paid them was a count from again some fast cars. There must be some kind of event today. I can hear some very noisy fast cars everywhere. So yeah, the Count Königsmark, they're actually so noisy, they're scary. The Count Königsmark had commissioned the attack. We think it's because he wanted Thomas' wife. Wow, can you hear that? It's so loud. I mean, it's horrible. Ooh. It's so scary. I had one the other day that strong when I was cycling behind them. It's very scary for pedestrians and cyclists. It's anyway. So sorry, got confused in my own story here. So yeah, so the Swedish count, he had. I have to be careful when I say count because I don't know how to tell the difference between the aristocratic title and the C word. But yeah, he basically wanted to eliminate Thomas Stein because he wanted his wife. His wife was Lady Elizabeth Percy. She was very beautiful. So he literally just evicted the guy to try to get his wife. And would you believe he actually bribed the jury? So there's 3 men that were professional killers. They were hanged, but the count was not. He bribed the jury and left. At the time, some aristocrats had some privilege. And the wife in question, the wife that the guy wanted, you may have heard of her, Lady Elizabeth. She later on in her life, she became the groom of the stool of Queen Anne. The groom of the stool, it's an interesting position. It's basically the people that used to, it's a very, very important title. That's the person that used to clean the bum of the monarch after they have a poo, basically. By the way, on the horse there, that's George III. That's the king that lost the American colonies. So yeah, Queen Anne, she had 2 groom of the stools. So it's basically the most intimate, really, of the staff. And although they have to wipe the monarch's bum after they take a poo, they also have the opportunity to express themselves in terms of political influences. And Lady Elizabeth, she might have been Queen Anne's mistress. I say she might because we will never know that for sure. Her husband, known as the Proud Duke, he burned the letters between Lady Elizabeth and Queen Anne, so we will never know how close they were exactly. You might have seen the movie The Favourite. Lady Elizabeth is not actually portrayed in the movie. You mainly see the Duchess of Marlborough. She was the groom of the stool before Lady Elizabeth. But yeah, she might also have been Queen Anne's lover. We'll probably never know. Anyway, I'm stopping here because I have a flat for you in this very building. So it's literally right next to the Canadian High Commission. And Charles I reincarnation. You know what I didn't tell you? Nell Gwyn earlier, we were talking about Nell Gwyn. She of course dated Charles II, but she used to call him Charles III because she had dated 2 Charles before him. So she didn't want to force, but she used to call him my Charles III. Anyway, let me tell you, so this is a 2-bedroom to buy we're looking at. I'll show you the photos. Where are we? This one here. Sorry, my touch screen, I think I need a new phone. There we go. So this is a 2-bedroom to buy in the building right across the street here. How much would you pay for that one? Nell was saucy, exactly, Tish. Very saucy indeed. She might, we don't know, she might have engaged in prostitution herself when she was very young because her mum had a brothel. And then she ended up selling oranges in the theaters. 4.5 millions, that's not too far. It's a little less. Tarek says 4.5 as well. 3 million, Cynthia, very good, very good. 3.7 says Laurie, you're very close, guys. Sam, you're not too far either. Pauline says 2.5. Mike, a little bit less. I like the 99.99. Yes, I'm sure £1 is very important for those people. Right, let me show you the answer. I think it's 3 million something. Sorry, my touch screen is not working very well. There we go. 3,495,000. So, yeah. So, Mike, you are quite good because you see they go for the 95 when they could just go. They could just say 3,500,000, but no. Anyway, let's take this away. And let's go away from George III. George III, it's also the monarch that is famous for having lost some of his mental capacity. He had some mental health issues, and his son had to become the Prince Regent. Now, I've got another flat for you here. It's, I think it's the full house actually. Let me see. Yeah, 4 bedrooms, so it's probably the full building. So this little one here, and this is also to buy. So we're looking for a 4-bedroom here to buy. This beautiful little entrance. It looks like it used to be a pub or something. Let me show you the inside. There we go. So how much would you pay for this one? 4 bedrooms, so it's quite big. 4-bedroom in this part of London, it's quite luxurious. So how much would you pay for a 4-bedroom here? Yeah, full house, it's quite rare. Very often they are divided in so many little flats. 6 million says Caroline. Sam says 4.67. Rose, I think you're very close, Rose. I think you're quite spot on, if I remember right. Cynthia, you're not too far either. I'll show you the answer. Yeah, Rose, well done. So 5,025,000. So yeah, not for me quite yet. Although it seems like an amazing location to live in. I don't think it's actually that enjoyable. Well, that would be quite convenient for me because I I often have to work by Buckingham Palace, so that would be very convenient to go to work. But it is so busy around here. Like if you want to stop at Tesco's to do your shopping, you'd have to queue forever. And if you finish late in the evening, it's full of drunken gentlemen and ladies. It's just, it's just very busy. I mean, I have lived in Marble Arch for a very short time, like 15 years ago, and it was just too busy for me. I was like, no, too much. So sometimes being very central seems like an amazing idea, but it might not always be. Right, I've got one more flat for you along this side here, and then we'll go and take a look at Trafalgar Square. And Tish, you were asking if the tour was 90 minutes. Well, it looks like it might be at the end, because we are not done quite yet. Although I did connect a bit early, because it's telling me it's been an hour and 15 so far, but I think I connected 15 minutes early. Anyway, last flat for tonight. It is right up here above the Admiralty pub here, and it is. I think it's a rental. Let me double check. It is a rental, and it is one bedroom to rent right here. Let me show you the images. There we go. So how much would you pay monthly? Well, it's actually a weekly price, but I've done the math. So we're looking for a monthly rent for this little flat here that looks probably quite old, but it's been redone. You couldn't deal with that traffic. Well, with those crazy cars, me neither. Although I suppose when you're at home, they're not that scary, but when you're on the street, it's just too much. So we're looking for one bedroom to rent, right up there. 1.6 thousand. Tariq says 2.5. Tariq, I think you're very close. Caroline says 2,300. 2.5 says Ronnie as well. Let's start going down. We can go this way. It's the same. 2.5. Well, it's a little bit more, guys. A little bit more. I'll show you the answer. There we go. So it's actually a weekly rent here, but 692 times 4x4. That's just over 3,000 a month. So, Mike. Oh, you were really, really close, Mike. Yeah. So just over 3,000. So. Not bad. Sometimes I do wonder who rents those flats. Who lives here? They probably don't even have a car park. Well, they probably don't need a car. They probably have a chauffeur that comes and picks them up. I don't know. Anyway, we are arriving on Trafalgar Square. And we might not be able to go on the square itself because they were in the process of dismantling. They had a little St. Patrick's event on today, but let's go and see if we can go on the right inside. We'll cross over here. So Trafalgar Square, of course, known as the centre of London. If you went up to Nottingham and you saw a sign that says London 222 miles, it would be calculated from right here. And see the little gay men sign here? That was for the gay pride. I don't know if you saw it properly. So that's the little green men. You have the gay sign, the lesbian sign. You have two little gentlemen holding hands. Shocking how expensive considering it's over a pub. Yes, you're right, Caroline. I didn't think about that, but it's probably quite noisy as well. Although it's probably noisy everywhere in this part of London because really, you have so many nightclubs and everything around here that I don't think it's quiet anywhere here. The king on his horse here, that's Charles I. So Charles I, as you might know, he was executed just down the road here. He spent his last night at St. James's Palace where we were earlier. And straight ahead, behind Charles I, you can see a bit of a light at the back. This is Big Ben. Well, I shouldn't call him Big Ben. Big Ben is the name of the bell inside, but it is the Elizabeth Tower. Right, before we go, I have a last murder for you, and it's a very sad one actually. It's a gentleman that was called Desmond O'Byrne. In 2017 in June, so on a warm day, he had been on a. Oh, sorry, I'm stepping on pieces of broken stuff here. He had been on a night out, and he was well, drunk. It doesn't mean it was a drunk. You know, sometimes in the newspaper, because he was drunk that night, he was described as almost like if he was worthless. You know, he was just on a night out. He was actually an engineer, and even if he had been drunk, does it make him less dead? No. There's a theory of the less dead. You know, some people that are, because they might be outcast of society, because they might be homeless or sex workers or whatever it might be, that somehow the press and the newspaper doesn't represent them as fairly, let's say. Anyway, it was not the case with Desmond. He was a gentleman in his 50s, very tall guy, 6 feet, so maybe quite impressive, but very nice guy. He had quite a bit to drink that night, and he was actually on his way home. He lived in Pimlico. He had bought a takeaway to eat at home after the drinks, and he was actually laying on the little wall here. He was almost falling asleep when he thought, okay, it's time to go. You know, I'm clearly starting to fall asleep here, and he realized he was out of cigarettes. So today we don't really ask for cigarettes on the street as much as we used to, because they've become so expensive, of course. But in the 70s, you know, they were not that expensive quite yet, so it was very common to go and ask for a cigarette. He spotted a group of young gentlemen and ladies here. They have CCTV footage of that. He approached them. Then one of the youngsters said no. There were two main attackers, Luca and Louis, and then they are out of the camera frame for a few seconds, but literally just a few seconds. And you can see that Desmond got scared, so he started to run. But he's in his 50s and he's drunk when you have those two youngsters that run after him. And out of nowhere, the guy called Louis gave him a big punch. Luca gave him a big punch. The type of guy that, you know, used to post his torso on Instagram, so very much into his body. So, and Desmond was so tall, he literally felt on the ground. But when you fell from 6 feet, you know, his head ended up on the pavement. And then the other one, Louis, that just followed his mate, no idea why they attacked the guy. He came and kicked him. And unfortunately, Desmond ended up in a coma for about 6 months. And then the group of youngsters, they just left. Apparently on the CCTV you can see that one of them is shocked. He's just staring at the gentleman on the floor, but is not doing anything about it, and they left. And sadly, that happened in June 2017. That was actually the night of the horrible terrorist attacks on London Bridge. So the next morning, the newspaper were all over about the attacks, and not much space for Desmond. So same for finding witnesses. It was actually quite hard because it didn't get much space in the press either. it is much later that finally one of the cousins anonymously actually told the police what happened, what he saw that night. The two young boys had already left. They had gone to the US. One of them was caught in Alabama. The American police, of course, looked for them. But yeah, and they actually went down for manslaughter only 3 years. When really they attacked out of nowhere a completely innocent gentleman for absolutely no reasons. So yeah, quite a sad tale. And while we're here, so this is St. Martin's in the Fields. This is, we were talking about Nell Gwyn earlier. This is where she's buried. Poor Nell Gwyn, when she died, she actually had a stroke. Half of her body was paralyzed, and then she had another stroke. The king was already dead. Charles II was already dead. But apparently on his deathbed, he told his brother, James II, or the future James II, not to let poor Nellie starve. So she had a pension from the brother of the king even after his passing. Anyway, that's gonna be the end of the tour. Let me show you the beautiful view over the National Galleries again. And let me know if you have any questions before we go. If not, thank you very much for coming tonight. Hope you enjoyed that little Monopoly on murders, I should say. And I don't know where we're going to next in terms of monopolies. We need to throw the dice on the board, so we'll do that. Let me flip this camera around. Thank you, Sam. And if any of you was completely new to me, hopefully I got you hooked, and hopefully you'll join us again next time. So far, the next time is next Sunday, Jack the Ripper, so in a week exactly, and it's quite a late one as well. The 4th Splint lorry, it's still, you might have seen it. The ones that don't know, we have a plinth here that changes every few years. So the 4th one, it's still it's an African preacher, but a couple of days ago, actually, it's funny you said that, they've just published now. They're having an argument behind me. I'm gonna go this way. They've just published now the new one. It's gonna be it's a chubby black lady in a blue dress. I don't know if she has a name. Well, the artist probably has a name, but it's yeah, it looks interesting. So very colorful, because this one was like an old classic bronze. So that's coming up, not quite yet. I think we still have a year and a half of this one, but yeah, they've just published the new design. Cool. Thank you very much for coming tonight, guys. Hopefully see you next Sunday. And oh, last time was the whipped cream. Yeah, it's been changed. I think it's been at least a year and a half that we've got this one now. Yeah. I actually preferred the cream. That was quite cool, because for the ones that don't know, the ice cream with the cherry, there was a camera. So it represented a drone, and there was a camera, so you could come on wave and see yourself live on the thing. So that was quite cool. Thanks, Laurie. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks everyone for coming tonight. So if you want to see a bit more of me, next week Jack the Ripper, and the week after, a few days after Jack the Ripper, we're going to Stoke Newington, and the week after we're going to Surrey. We're going to Godalming in Surrey, and so yeah, hopefully I'll see you there, and I'll also be doing a couple of videos this week. I still have 2 videos to do of the Philippines. I'm quite slow with editing, so they'll be coming up eventually. Anyway, have a great evening. If any of you drop me a little tip on PayPal, buy me a coffee, that's very, very much appreciated. You know, it's thanks to your generosity that I can keep going, because of course it's quite a bit of work to do all the research and everything. Oh, you'll be watching. Perfect. Amazing. So I'll see you in Jack the Ripper then. And thank you, Tish. See, Tish, it's gonna be nearly 90 minutes. So you were actually right. So I didn't lie on the calendar. Anyway, have a good one. See you later. Have a good morning, a good evening, a good lunch, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world. Bye bye. Oh, thank you so much, Pauline. Thank you. Have a good one.